Hey everyone, welcome back. So, geez, every time Bitcoin seems to be doing pretty well, we get some kind of a war going on with some countries here. You know, it is what it is, but we do have some good news on this. I think Bitcoin is going to bounce back from this, as it always does with any kind of war that we have going on between two countries. We've had it with Russia and Ukraine, right? Bitcoin bounced from that. We also had Hamas targeting Israel. We bounced back from that, and I think we will bounce back from this as well. It is unfortunate, but we do have obviously Bitcoin going down. Futures are going down as well. The oil is spiking right now as it is. All of my feeds on X are basically about what's going on with Israel attacking Iran. So we'll get into all what's going on there, everything else. We'll talk about also Core. I think I missed that one yesterday. We didn't talk about their May update. So we'll cover Core today. We'll also talk about IRENs. Convertible notes, as far as what does that mean for shareholders as well. I ran that through an AI system. We'll go over what it said. And then we'll look at also the weekly for the Bitcoin miners, which we didn't do this past Sunday because I was on vacation. So we're going to catch up on that as well. We'll see where Bitcoin's at right now. Bitcoin did pretty good, actually, bouncing off the 50 simple day moving average. I think that's going to be a good sign for us here, like it was in the past. But we'll see. I think that's it that I wanted to cover with you guys. Not much good news stories for Bitcoin today. It was all pretty much about the stuff that's happening between Israel and Iran right now in my feed. So I didn't get anything that was major. Did get one thing in there, but it coincides with what's going on here with the conflict. All right, let's get into it here, but we got to go through this as always. Not financial advice for anyone only. Please do your own research as always. Full disclosure below that. Hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. And it doesn't cost you anything, but it does help me out tremendously. So I would appreciate it if you could do that. All right, let's take a look at what's going on with Bitcoin here right now. Bitcoin was down today. It's down again in the new day for Friday now. You can see it here on the chart. If we zoom this sucker in, we can see that we were down today 2.71% on the day. We closed at 105,000. On the new day, which is for Friday here, which started at some PMI time at least, Bitcoin's down again to 103,561. It's down another 2% on the day here. So we've had basically 4 days in the red right now as it is if we finish out the way it is. But we're down. We bottomed out at 7%. We're down now about 6.2%. So it's not too bad over the last couple of days. And I mean, we're at least bouncing off the 50 simple day moving average line, which is this line right here. We did this back on the beginning of June as well, last week. Had a nice bounce here to the upside after that. We'll see if this stays the same and we bounce after that, right? Depending what the outcome is of the attacks by Israel on Iran. But yeah, it's just, it is what it is. I don't get it. Why can't we all just, get along? We are all red inside, basically. We all bleed the same color. We are all people of Earth, basically. And I'm dumbfounded by any time there's a war, right? It's usually because of geopolitical issues or religion is involved in that or some other stupidity between two factions, whatever you want to call it, two different groups of people with different ideologies and things like that, and they clash. And it's unfortunate. We're in the year right now, 2025, and we still have basically stupid people creating problems for us all over the world, unfortunately. One would have thought that by now people would have gotten smarter, learned to live with each other, learned to work with each other, learn to love each other as well, but that's not the case here. Maybe not for another, I don't know, tens and however many years it's going to take for everybody to wake up and see that this is not the way to go. We are all on this little planet. We should all be thankful that we're on this little planet and treat each other with respect, regardless of what the religions are and things like that. All right, that's just my little rant there on it. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Okay, let's take a look at the miners here today. Miners didn't do that well, obviously, today as well. Bitfarms was down. The stock market was actually up in the green, but Bitcoin and miners were down today. Bitfarms was down 2.8%. Again, BitDeer was down 3.9%. Cypher was down 5.8%. Cleanspark was down 2.6%. CORZ was only down 0.9%. Hive was down 2.5%. Hut 8 was down 0.8%. IREN was down 1.26%. Mara was down 3.2%. Riot was down 3.2%. Wolf was down 3.4% on the day. We've obviously seen a couple of days here in the red for the miners. MicroStrategy was down as well, 1.9%. Galaxy was up just a little bit, 0.08. Coin was down 3.4%. This is MetaPlanet was down 5%. Similar was down 3%. The blockchain group was up just a little bit here, 0.78%. Small miners were down for the most part, except for DigiPower here. This one's continuing to have a nice run up here recently. This one's doing pretty good. The ETF for the miners were down today. The ETFs for Bitcoin were up yesterday. We'll see what they are today. We can see that on this chart here. It looks like it's going to be in red depending on what happens with BlackRock. If they sold out, then it's going to be definitely a red day here unless they bought in. But we had, at least 3 days of positive inflows. And sorry, my nose is starting to get stuffy again. I'm getting an allergy attack for whatever reason again. So I do apologize for that. Going back here to Bitcoin. Bitcoin's down now for the month of June, down 1.22%. We were in the green yesterday, a little bit at least, but now we're in the red on it. For the quarter, we're still up 25%, so that's not too bad here. And based on what the conflict's happening here, this is from Linvestment on X here. They posted this today. Here's what happened to financial markets last time Hamas attacked Israel in October of 2023. LMT skyrocketed at the market open. SPX, SPY dropped about 50 points, then began to rally. Bitcoin was tepid, then began a massive 50% rally in a matter of days, breaking the correlation with the risk assets and leading QQQ SPY out of the hole. This will probably get worse before it gets better, but food for thought here. All right, so we might have a dip here, some more today, but we might actually bounce back after that, especially if it's going to be like a quick, quick operation where they get the stuff done and over with, and then we'll have to wait and see what Iran responds like, and then is there another back and forth, how long this lasts. The faster this gets resolved, the faster we go up, basically. Okay. Next here, let's talk about really quick IREN and their update for the SE convertible notes, 500 million of those. Right. So we talked about this a little bit yesterday. Some of you guys asked about more details on what this actually means, and I thought I would run this through Google's Gemini AI system. I uploaded the press release there along with all the details here, and just basically asked it, what does it mean for investors? And here's the analysis from Gemini, at least. I read through this already. I think this is pretty good here, and it does kind of outline what's going on here pretty well. So the SEC filing from IREN announces a proposed private offering of $450 million, right? With initial purchases to buy an additional $50 million in convertible senior notes due 2029. Here's what this means for investors. So key takeaways for investors are debt offering and dilution risk. IREN is issuing the convertible senior notes, which are a form of debt. However, they are convertible, meaning note holders have the right to convert them into IREN's ordinary shares under certain circumstances. This introduces a potential for dilution for existing shareholders if the notes are converted into shares, right? We know this is the fact. This happens with all the companies that get into convertible notes. This is basically what happens. So we know that's going to be a part of it. They can be bought out. Well, we'll talk about that here in a second here. They are senior unsecured obligations. The notes will be senior unsecured obligations of IREN, meaning they rank above equity in the event of liquidation, but are not backed by specific assets. So they do take precedence there. Maturity and interest, we know that's going to be ending in December 15th, 2029, and will accrue interest payable semi-annually. The specific interest rate and initial coverage rate will be determined when the offering is priced. Redemption option for IREN here. So IREN has the option to redeem the notes for cash or cash on or after June 20th, 2028. If its ordinary share price exceeds 130% of the conversion price for a specified period and other conditions are met. This could mean investors get their principal plus accrued interest back if the stock performs well, potentially limiting their upside from the conversion. So that's that has me a little bit confused here. This could mean investors get their principal plus accrued interest back if the stock performs well, and then potentially limiting their upside from conversion. Does that mean for investors, or does that actually mean for the backers of this? People that are actually buying these secured debts. Repurchase rights for note holders. So fundamental change. If certain fundamental changes occur as defined in the notes terms, note holders can require IREN to repurchase their notes for cash. This provides some protection to note holders in the event of significant corporate events. Don't know what those would be, but I'm sure it's going to be listed in there, so they can be forced to buy those back basically at any point if they do something that would be seen as not in the interest of note holders. Use of proceeds, we know IREN's going to use a portion of those net proceeds to fund capped calls, transactions, or prepaid forward transaction, with the remainder for general corporate purposes and working capital. Capped call transaction. These transactions are intended to reduce potential dilution to IREN's ordinary shares upon conversion of the notes and or offset cash payments above the principal amount of converted notes. Subject to cap price, this generally is positive for existing shareholders as it aims to mitigate dilution. Okay, so that would be good there. Prepaid forward repurchase transaction. IREN expects to repurchase up to approximately 100 million of its ordinary shares through a prepaid forward transaction. This is generally viewed as a positive for shareholders as it reduces the number of outstanding shares, potentially increasing earnings per share. All right, so that's good. So we've seen other companies do that as well. Cleanspark, IREN's done this in the past. Mawson has done this in the past. Hut 8 has done this as well. Whenever they get into these types of things, they kind of buy back some of their shares as well. Market impact of hedging activities. So the options counterparties and forward counterparties may enter into derivative transactions and buy-sell IREN's ordinary shares to hedge their positions. So think about it as shorts, right? This activity could cause fluctuations, increase or decrease in IREN stock price or the notes price, which could affect the conversion terms and the value received by note holders upon conversion as well. So they're going to be hedging their bets on it as well. We know this is going to be a fact here. And then this is obviously private offering rule 144A. That's just the rules there stipulating on how this can be done. Forward-looking statements, we talked about that. But in essence, IREN is raising capital through convertible note, which offers a blend of debt and equity characteristics. While the capped call and prepaid forward transactions aim to manage dilution and support the stock price, investors should be aware of potential for future share dilution, the impact of hedging activities on the market price, and the risk inherent in forward-looking statements. Right. So basically, it's going to put a little bit of a squeeze on the stock as far as how well it can do potentially, or at least put maybe a limit into it a little bit. But if they get a deal with HPCI, customer, something like that, that could definitely bump it up. Bitcoin going up much higher in value could also bump them up, and potentially they could, I'm not saying that they will, but potentially they could buy back the convertible notes at a certain point if Bitcoin stays above and they have plenty of cash on hand to do it, and so forth, so on. So we shall see. But overall, I mean, this is good for investors in the short term, at least, I think, because of the lower dilution that's happening. But eventually we're going to have the dilution, whether it's going to be sometime in 2028 or 2029, we are going to have dilution here unless they pay it off in cash at that point, right? So that's the update on IREN here. Let's take a look at, also one of you guys asked me about Bitfarms here. I checked my email with the account that I have for where I own Bitfarms shares. I have still not received any kind of emails from them asking me to vote on the shares there for the reverse split. So I don't have any details on it right now. If there's any documents out there that are available to take a look at, let me know. I'll be more than happy to take a look at those and see what they're actually saying in there. But I'm still waiting for my email to come through for my vote to matter here, but I haven't seen anything here. So with that being said, let's get into CORZ Scientific here. CORZ Scientific also doesn't provide updates anymore for their monthly operations, but they do provide their daily Bitcoin production. And at the end of the month here, they did provide basically what they mined more or less through the month, which came in at about 226 Bitcoin here, roughly. So that's kind of what we're using there. I left their hash rate where it's at right now, and just, well, we'll talk about it down below. But based on what they mined as far as Bitcoin, based on where the network hash rate is at, given that information, we can see that more or less they are operating on average at about 14 exahash right now as it is, okay? But right now they have 363 million shares outstanding. Stock price as of today is $12.14. Market cap 4.4 billion. Their performance over the last 12 weeks has been actually really good here, right? They're up 43% from 12 weeks ago, up 83, almost 84% from 8 weeks ago. They're up 13% from 4 weeks ago, and then from last week they're up 14%. So a nice run here in the last 12 weeks. Current hash rate of them at 18, right? Future is supposed to be around 30 if they still buy the 15 exahash from block and their A6 there. So that should push them up. BTC HODL, I don't know where their HODL is right now. I'm guessing based on the last report, it was around 1,190. Could be probably higher than that, could be lower, I don't know. But that would represent about 2.8% of their market cap of HODL there. And each share has about 34 cents of HODL based on the information that we do have here right now. And I do apologize about my sniffles, right? Just allergies. BTC price or BTC amount being mined here. Last May, they were mining 447. This time around, they're mining 226. Having event will do that to a company. Plus, their hash rate has been coming down as well as a result of them switching some of their facilities over into HPCI business for CoreWeave. But they did mine 226, which was an improvement over May of 221, a little bit there. But overall, they've been in like the low 200s here for the last couple of months here. You can see that right there. Revenue here was increased to 23.4 million from 19.17 million in April. Bitcoin HODL, right? I don't know exactly what they HODL here. Hash rate, like I said, I'm having him at 18.1 exahash. They might have come down more with some of the older machines being unplugged as well, which is kind of what we've seen here ever since basically August and July of last year. Their hash rate has been coming down. And like I said, based on the network hash rate, what they mine, I'm guessing they were around 14 exahash on average running around there. Bitcoin sold, we don't know what they sold here. BTC per exahash efficiency, 12.48, which is kind of lower end side of things compared to the other miners right now as it is. Bitcoin sold value, we don't know on that one. We'll get to this in a second here. Institutions and analyst ratings, that did improve here to 444 for them. Shares also decreased, though, to 257 million from 267 million. And they are now 86.59% owned by institutions compared to the 89, so that is a little bit of a drop there. We still now have, actually, we have a change here. We have now 11 strong buy ratings, 5 buy ratings, 1 hold rating, 0 underperforms, 0 sells. Price target for the high stayed the same at $23. The average actually went down to $18.09, and the low stayed the same at $15. Going down here, for the miners here, for May, they were operating about 24 days on average, so that's why I'm saying the average operational uptime was around 14 exahash based on this. And I'm sure they've probably gotten rid of some of these 98 terahash miners, maybe even some of these 100 terahash miners as well, possibly, but we don't know that for a fact because we don't get updates, so we're just kind of going off the details that we do have here on them. Based on that, and looking at them at the next 12 months here, based on the revenue that they had in May, I'm also adding in some of their revenue that they're going to be generating from CoreWeave here as well. I have them now at $10.86 to $16.45. They appear to be pretty well valued. I wouldn't say that they're overvalued. I'd say that they're pretty well valued right now as it is. And they could possibly go up higher as well. Once they start getting, obviously, more revenue from CoreWeave, that should help out. And if they can get the block miners installed sometime in the second half of this year as well, that should help out for them as well. Excuse me. On that, hold on a second. I gotta clear my throat here and blow my nose maybe. Hopefully you guys. Okay, hopefully that'll be a little bit better for at least a little bit. So, big thing for them is, I mean, they're going to be generating a lot of revenue from CoreWeave through their HPCI deal for the sites that they have. And then if they can also build out some more on their Bitcoin mining, which doesn't seem like they want to go that way. I think they're trying to go more in the direction of HPCI data center play. You can see the changes on their website as well. That's kind of the direction that they're going for. So we'll see if they continue. And we'll see if they even actually get the block miners as well. All right. But that's it on CORZ Scientific there. Let's take a look at last week. How did the miners do? And then we'll get into your guys' Q&A side of things here. We'll take a look at maybe what's going on with Bitcoin still right now as it is and other things. But here is the numbers here. I probably should put this back up to number 1. There we go. Okay, so this is for last week, right? We're almost done with this week as it is already, but we haven't gone over it. So strategy still has been the best performer here in the last 52 weeks, being up 278% from its 52-week lows. Right, these are the charts here for the 52-week lows. BitDeer has done pretty good as well, 159% here. Hut 8, 112%. Bitcoin's at 112%. So BitDeer and Hut 8 have at least done as well as Bitcoin, or if not outperformed it a little bit here. Cypher's pretty close. It's up 109% in the last 52 weeks from its 52-week low. CORZ up 96, IREN up 90%, Marathon up 60, Hive 59, Riot 59, Cleanspark 51, and Bitfarms up only 33%. And you can see how far away they are from their 52-week highs here. For a lot of these guys here, last week, everybody here pretty much outperformed Bitcoin except for Bitfarms. Bitfarms was down 3%, Cypher was up 25%, Riot up 22, HUD 8 up 22, IREN was up 16, Core 14, Cleanspark up 13, Marathon up 12, Hive up 12 as well, BitDeer up 9, Strategy was only up 1%, Bitcoin is basically flat. I check it Friday to Friday basically. At that point, but when we look at the 4 weeks chart, Bitcoin's up 1% here, so we do have some miners that have outperformed. Core, IREN, HUD 8, and Riot. Cypher at least has stayed even with it. And then Cleanspark, Marathon, Hive, BitDeer, and Strategy even, and Bitfarms have underperformed Bitcoin here in the 4-week time frame. 8-week time frame, we're looking a little bit differently here. Bitcoin's up 24%, so we have BitDeer way outperforming here. Hive, a little bit outperforming Marathon, a little bit. Cleanspark a little bit as well. Core up, way up, 84%. IREN up 74%, 66 for HUD 8, 52 for Riot, and 65 for IREN. Sorry, Cypher. With Bitcoin being up only 24%. Strategy and Bitfarms have underperformed Bitcoin in the last 8 weeks. Looking at the 12 weeks time frame, Bitcoin's up 24%, and Bitfarms underperformed quite tremendously here. Strategy underperformed a little bit. BitDeer outperformed. Hive underperformed a little bit here, and then we have Marathon, Cleanspark, Core, IREN, HUD 8, and Cypher outperforming, while Riot was about the same, equal, within the 12-week time frame. So interesting to look at that. We've had, prior to that, 2 weeks in the red, basically, for the miners. We did get a nice green week last week. This week, it's probably going to be in the red again for the miners as well on it. Okay, so that is it. We'll see where things end up at later on with Bitcoin tomorrow and the conflict and everything else. So I think this is a buying opportunity. I posted something on X today, a little cartoon of a family in the 1950s with the wife asking the husband, honey, did you buy Bitcoin today? And the husband's like all confused. So buy the dip if you can. We don't get a lot of them happening here, but when they do happen, I think it's a good time to buy in on Bitcoin and the miners as well if you're continuing to buy into these guys here. Hasn't been easy to stay positive with these guys, but we've had some nice runs here with them recently. They have done really well. We can see that on the charts here as well, on the 12 weeks, 8 weeks, and 4 weeks, and 1 week as well, that they do tend to sometimes outperform Bitcoin, which is good. All right, let's get into you guys' Q&A, see what you guys have to say, as always, and see where Bitcoin's at right now as it is. Bitcoin's coming back down a little bit here. Let's see. Let me take a look at Bitcoin right now. Bitcoin, yeah, it's still 103,921, so that's not too bad. Let's take a look. I'm going to take a look at really quick at crude. Crude is up 8%. Holy cow, it was up even more than that. Take a look at this. This is crude right now on the daily chart. This thing is up 8.56%, probably up 10% on the day. If it goes all the way, if it went all the way up there. So it's coming back down a little bit here. This is the light crude oil futures. That's up 11%. VIX, let's see, this is the CBOE volatility index. That's up, 13% on the new day. Gold is up 1.52%. Yeah, it's getting close to its all-time high here at 3,500. So it's getting close to that. What else do we have here? That's basically it. DXY is $1. That's kind of pumping up a little bit here, but man, dollar's been kind of down here recently. All right, let's get into Q&A. See what you guys have to say. As always, if you could preface the question with a question mark or a Q, I'd appreciate it. I'm going to work my way up a little bit and work my way down as always. Let's see. Let's see. Sorry guys, I'm trying to find a question here. George says it's going to basically end out to be an all-out war if other countries get involved. Hopefully it doesn't get to that. Let's see. Neville says, I swear the email is there. I wish I could post it. I'm sure you're getting it. I haven't gotten emails from or things to vote from the service that I use, before as well. So I'm not surprised that I'm maybe not getting it. I don't know if you have to have a number of shares to do it or what. Neville says it might take me more time to get it. Maybe, I don't know. Question from Neville here. How come Bitfarms can't seem to control the narrative before putting an RS reverse split to a vote? Every time they confirm what people are speculating, it tends to confirm the negative notions people have on them. But they've had this option for a while now to do a reverse split if they wanted to, but they haven't really pulled on it. So I don't know if it just gives them an updated option to do it if they want to. But in the past, they haven't done it. But they might do it this time, right? Depending what the vote is. And if the vote is actually for a reverse split or just the optionality for them to do a reverse split if they want to. See, Under says, I think one thing IREN could do in 2029 when the converts come due is raise more money through a new convertible note to it and to the old one to avoid dilution and kick the can down the road. We saw Mara do that a little bit as well, right? So that is a possibility there. Okay. Let's see. Neville, as far as what my email is, you can find it in the YouTube, my page, whatever you want to call it, in the About Me. You should be able to find my email in there, okay? And if you could send a snapshot of it for me, that'd be great. I'd love to see what it says in there. Okay, covered that. Sarmon says, new drama every week. It does seem like it. If it isn't what we got as far as going on here in the United States with all the rioting and everything else, the clashes, the protesters. Yolo says, I got the Bitfarms email, approved the consolidation of the corporate issued and outstanding common shares on the basis of a ratio not to exceed 10 to 1 to be determined by the board of directors. Okay, yeah, so it's out there, and just I haven't gotten it yet. All right, let's hear. Any thoughts on Cleanspark saying they would do a buyback and at what point they would actually make good on it? Gosh, that I don't know, right? Does it make sense for them to do a buyback right now? They did a buyback a little bit when they got the convertible notes back in, when was it, last year I think it was? So, I don't know if I would do any, I'd probably give a nice sentiment to the market that they are buying their shares back. But depending also how much are they buying back? Are they buying $1 million back, $10 million? That's still not a lot, right? Compared to the number of shares out there, but it'd still be a good sentiment, I guess. Let's see, Nick, good evening, Seb. Good to see you back. Thank you so much. I hope you had I did have a great vacation. It was too long though. 10 days is too long. I think if I would have been okay with like 6-7 days. I think that would have been enough. But 10 days is just kind of dragging it out at that point. Question, Bitfarms buy under 7.70 cents. The moment they land a HPC client, it's at least $3 stock. Yeah, it's 7.70 cents. I would think so. But that's if they get a HPCI deal, right? So that wouldn't, I think that would be probably a pretty good risk reward at 70 cents, depending on how much you're buying. All right. Neville says, you're correct. It's for the options, right? So they have the option to do a reverse split. Okay. Sean's got a question here. What's the difference between reverse splits and buyback shares and the good for investors? So reverse splits are typically seen by investors as, the company has too many shares. They want to reduce the amount of shares. So they're going to basically, let's just say they do a 10-for-1 split, right? They're saying up to 10%, up to 10-to-1 split. So if they do a reverse split 10-to-1, their stock price is at 92 cents right now. Basically, if they do that, their stock price goes up to $9 something. The amount of shares that they have is 550 million right now. You would have, at that point, 55 million shares. So the concern there is once you're down to 55 million shares again, that the team and the board there will continue to dilute shares going forward even more. Right, because then you're going to need to raise money, so they're going to use an ATM to dilute the shareholders at that point. That's kind of the fears that we've had here. We've had Hive do this in the last 2-3 years where they did a reverse split. And that was one of the big concerns, and stock didn't do too good over that period of time. It's been kind of held back, and it's kind of held back now even as we speak. So that could be the downside of it, right? And as far as buying stock back, what's the difference on that? They could buy back shares at these low prices, but they also need capital to fund their growth and build out for HPCI like they want to, all that stuff. So, I mean, the capital is really not there, right? You're bringing on people on board for HPCI expertise as well. You got to pay them pretty well. So the money is just not there. If the money was there to buy back shares, I would say buy back shares at these low prices right now. Let's see. Neville says, if we get a blow-off top, does this change your prediction of an extended cycle? Historically, those are usually followed by steep corrections. If we have a blow-off top, what would you consider a blow-off top, though? I wouldn't consider 130,000 a blow-off top, right? If we continue, let's just say I would consider a blow-off top, possibly if we are at 100,000 right now, and we go to like 230 or 200,000 plus, right? If we go up basically 2x from here, then maybe we might have a blow-off top. And then if we only correct 30%, well, then it probably wasn't a blow-off top. So it's going to be a wait-and-see game with Bitcoin and see where we end up at later on this year and see what happens there. All right, Wes says, Seb, I got my Bitfarms email on voting last Friday from both Schwab and Wells. Okay. I use Webull, so I'll wait a little bit longer to see if I get something. And then how are you going to vote on it? My votes, I don't have as, well, we have 8,000 shares? That's not a lot. That's paltry. I'll probably vote no on it in principle, but I'm just going to pass anyways. They got institutions that own a heck of a lot more. It'll be interesting to see how Riot votes on it. Riot still owns 14% of them. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But it is what it is with it. I'm not too worried about it. I've trimmed my position, like I've said in the past, back in November, December of last year. I've trimmed it 2/3 of what I had. So I made money at that point. I'm down a little bit right now on it, but not too bad. So, all right, I think we'll call it a day here. I don't see any other questions coming in on it. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Well, tomorrow we'll look at some of the other metrics for the miners. All of them have already reported, except as we know, Bitfarms is no longer reporting monthly updates. HUD 8 is not reporting anymore. Core is not, but we at least have some data on it so we can run the numbers on them for that. And who else is not reporting recently here? TeraWolf. TeraWolf is the other one that was not reporting now. So we've had 3 miners out. I may look at some miners tomorrow that I want to add back into it, or just add in generally. The ones that are still reporting monthly updates here. So that'll be happening tomorrow. We'll cover some metrics, like I said. And what else? I think that's it. And then Momo asks, are you out of Bitfarms? I'm not out completely yet. I still own about, like I said, about 8,000 shares in there. I may just hold on to it just to see where it goes. And if they get an HPCI deal, then it might do very well here, right? In the meantime, it's going to be a crap show with Bitfarm stock, especially with Riot selling their shares as well. That's putting pressure on the stock, keeping it down, even on good days for Bitcoin. So yeah, it's going to be rough riding here for the time being, but we'll see. Okay. One other thing. I added a little store with shirts that I designed some stuff for the shirts. I don't know the quality of the t-shirts there or some of the other stuff, the garments. There, I did order some stuff for testing. I want to see what that stuff is like. How's the quality of the product there? So I would, if you guys want to support me and stuff like that, if you want to buy anything on that store, that's up to you guys. Greatly appreciate it. But just know I don't know what the quality is going to be like. So I want to see what the quality is before I fully get into it there. But it's kind of cool stuff in there. Let me know what you guys think of the designs and stuff like that. This was all done while I was on vacation board a little bit. All right. That's it. I will see you guys tomorrow. We'll cover whatever happens tonight and into tomorrow as well with Bitcoin, the conflict, and other things. So, yeah. And then YOLO is asking, Seb, selling March now? Yeah, I figured I'd give it a shot. It's available to YouTube members to join along with this other thing. I'm like, well, I'll design some stuff and see where it goes. Get a couple bucks out of it, great. I can take my family out for another vacation. If not, not a big deal, right? So we'll see. But yeah, that's it. Love you all. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hope you guys have a great night. And be kind to each other, all right? You only live once. Might as well make it count. Be nice. I'll see you guys tomorrow.